The road narrows the further you go. Civilization dissolves behind you, kilometer by kilometer. There are places on the map that feel forgotten, and others that feel deliberately avoided. Kulgera lies beyond that invisible line. It doesn't announce itself. No welcome signs. No movement. Just structures waiting under the sky like abandoned thoughts. Some towns feel asleep. This one feels watchful. The silence isn't peaceful. It's dense, pressing. The kind of silence that makes you aware of your own breathing. Out here, sound doesn't travel, it disappears. Places like this are meant to feel temporary. A stop, a pause. But this place feels like the end of something, like the world forgot to come back for it. Inside, time slows further. The lights feel tired. The air feels old. Even the products on the shelves seem like they've been waiting longer than they should. She doesn't greet him the way people normally do. No small talk. No automatic kindness. Her eyes carry something else instead, recognition perhaps. Or concern. She studies him as though weighing something. Not who he is, but whether he belongs here. Some people can sense when someone has stepped into the wrong place. Don't drive after dark out here. Her voice is calm, but it carries weight. Especially not toward the old fence line. It doesn't sound like advice. It sounds like memory. He laughs, not out of arrogance, but discomfort. People laugh when they don't know how to respond to unease. He's spent years chasing abandoned places. He thinks he understands loneliness. He thinks this is just another story. But the land doesn't react to his confidence. The silence doesn't lift. And somewhere beyond the buildings, beyond the light, something remains where it has always been. Waiting. Watching. A presence that did not arrive with him, but has noticed him now. Night falls quickly out here. Not gently, not gradually, but like a door shutting. The world shrinks to whatever your light can reach. At first, it's easy to dismiss. Old buildings make sounds. Cooling metal shifts. Wood contracts. But some sounds don't behave like buildings. Some sounds move with intention. He expects to see someone. A guest. Mara. Anyone. But the corridor offers nothing. Only the uneasy realization that the sound stopped the moment the door opened. Footprints don't lie. Not like memories. Not like stories. They exist because something stood here. Because something walked away. And because it chose not to be seen. The camera sees what the mind edits out. It captures details too subtle for panic to notice. And sometimes it captures things the brain refuses to accept. Coincidence once. Maybe twice. But patterns demand attention. Whatever appears behind him isn't moving randomly. It's closing the distance. Patiently. She doesn't ask how he slept. She studies his face instead, as though looking for confirmation. Like someone waiting to see if a line has already been crossed. You hear anything last night? Her voice is neutral. Too neutral. People who stay too long usually do. She never says ghost. She never says danger. She says it like weather. Fear and curiosity often feel the same at first. A tightening in the chest. A pull toward the unknown. He tells himself he's just documenting atmosphere. He tells himself he's in control. The desert listens. The desert disagrees. It's easier to ignore shadows at night. Daylight removes excuses. The shape doesn't move. Doesn't wave. Doesn't signal. It simply exists where nothing should. And somehow, impossibly, it feels aware that he's looking back. She doesn't begin with drama. She begins with hesitation. Some stories aren't told because people want to tell them. They're told because they've grown too heavy to carry alone. And once spoken, they never return to silence. Years ago, before the town grew quieter than it already was, a girl walked this same road. Not running. Not afraid. Just trying to get home before dark. That was the last ordinary thing she ever did. The road hasn't changed. The sky hasn't changed. The silence hasn't changed. Only the absence has. Some places remember the people they take. She never made it home. No scream was heard. No struggle was seen. Just a life erased between one step and the next. The kind of disappearance that leaves nothing behind, except questions. They searched. Of course they searched. But the desert is vast, and it keeps what it takes. No body. No answers. Just the slow understanding that some endings are denied to the living. Then came the sightings. A girl standing where no one stands. A shape walking where no one walks. Drivers thought they were tired. Lonely. Imagining things. Until too many people began seeing the same thing. They say she walks every night. Not chasing. Not fleeing. Just searching. As though the road owes her an answer it refuses to give. People here don't share the story easily. Not because they don't believe it, but because belief gives something power. And silence sometimes feels safer. We stopped using her real name a long time ago. Names are personal. Names are anchors. Now she's just the ghost. And somehow, that feels worse than forgetting. Suddenly, the warning sounds different. Not superstition. Not folklore. But experience. And when Ethan looks back toward the road, he realizes the story wasn't told to scare him. It was told because it had already begun. Some nights feel ordinary. Others feel expectant. The air tightens, as if the world is holding its breath. Ethan doesn't know why he's standing outside. He only knows that staying inside suddenly feels impossible. This time, the figure doesn't hide in shadow. It stands openly, as though secrecy is no longer required. As though the moment for distance has ended. She is not a blur anymore. Not a trick of light. Not a suggestion. She is a girl standing alone in the desert, exactly where no one should be. And somehow that is more terrifying than any monster. She doesn't move toward him. She doesn't reach. She doesn't chase. The stories promise danger. Instinct promised fear. But the moment holds something else entirely: uncertainty. The movement is slow, deliberate, intentional. Not a threat, not an invitation, but a direction. A silent message that feels older than language. In that single gesture, the story reshapes itself. She is not standing between him and danger. She is standing between him and ignorance. The question is no longer, what does she want? But, what does she need him to see? Every instinct says don't. Every story says turn back. But curiosity is louder than fear now. And somewhere deep down, he knows this moment will not come again. She doesn't guide him by walking ahead. She guides him by existing. By anchoring the moment. By making sure he understands that this is no accident. There is always a line people are not meant to cross. It isn't marked. It isn't announced. But everyone feels it when they pass it. The desert accepts his presence without resistance, which somehow feels worse. She doesn't follow him. She doesn't remain behind him. She is simply gone. Not because her role is finished, but because now he must walk the rest alone. Some places feel wrong immediately. Not because of what you see, but because of what the body senses first. The ground here is looser. Recently disturbed. As though the desert itself has been unsettled. The first discovery is small. Almost meaningless. Just cloth. Just debris. The kind of thing you want to explain away. But denial collapses quickly when you recognize intention. These aren't artifacts of the desert. They are fragments of lives. Objects that once lived in pockets. In hands. On skin. Evidence that people stood here long enough to lose something precious and never return to reclaim it. Then come the shapes that refuse interpretation. Not metal. Not stone. Not debris. Something older. Something once alive. The desert doesn't explain itself. It only confirms what you already fear. This isn't one tragedy. It's repetition. A rhythm. A history written not in records, but in absence. The girl wasn't alone. She was only the one people noticed. The story was never about a haunting. It was never about a restless spirit. It was about memory. About truth. The ghost wasn't hunting him. She wasn't warning him away. She was trying to be heard. Deserts don't get cold like this. Not suddenly. Not without warning. The warmth drains away as though something unseen has stepped closer, as though the space around him is no longer empty. The silence changes quality. It's no longer absence of sound, it's pressure, like deep water, like something holding everything still for a reason. She has never been this close. Close enough to feel real. Close enough to feel wrong. Her presence isn't violent. It's heavier than that. It's personal. You weren't supposed to find them. Her voice is barely more than breath. Not angry. Not threatening. Just resigned. As though this moment has happened before. The wind begins without warning. Not like weather, but like a decision. As though something has chosen to move. As though the land has acknowledged him and rejected him. He knows the way back. He is certain of it. But certainty means nothing when the world refuses to agree. The desert offers no landmarks. No mercy. No confirmation. Panic doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives in small realizations. The erased footprints. The missing horizon. The growing suspicion that every step forward is also a step deeper in. The terrain doesn't change suddenly. It adjusts. Subtly. Gradually. Enough that doubt replaces memory. Enough that he begins to question not the desert, but himself. She led him here. Not to rescue him. Not to save him. The realization settles slowly, painfully. The gesture was never guidance. It was selection. The ghost wasn't warning him away. She wasn't asking for justice. She wasn't searching for closure. She was repeating a pattern she never escaped herself, drawing others into the same ending. The storm does not feel random. It feels focused, as though every gust knows where he stands, as though the land itself is closing a circle. He understands now. The truth is not meant to be uncovered here. Those who see too much do not leave. The desert does not erase evidence quickly, it repurposes it. She does not approach. She does not intervene. Her role is finished. Her expression is unchanged. Not cruel. Not kind. Only bound. By dawn, the desert is calm again. Smooth. Perfect. As though nothing ever stood here. As though no one ever learned the truth. The land keeps its secrets well. And it is always hungry for more. Places like this don't react to loss. They don't mark tragedy. They don't pause. Kulgera remains exactly as it was because the land does not acknowledge what it takes. The arrival always looks the same. A vehicle. A traveler. Someone passing through who believes they will leave again shortly. That belief is the only difference. Time has passed. But inside these walls, nothing shifts. The lights buzz the same. The air feels the same. And Mara waits the same way she always does. The sentence is spoken with hope, with assumption, with the belief that people disappear for ordinary reasons. Mara doesn't look surprised. She hears the word photographer. She hears the concern. She hears the familiar tone of someone who still believes answers exist. But she does not hear anything new. There are things she could explain, stories she could tell, warnings she could repeat. But experience has taught her that words do not interrupt this cycle. They only make the listener curious. She looks the way she always looks when the question is asked, not toward the traveler, but toward the place where answers no longer belong to the living. The horizon holds more than it used to. Where once there was only one shape, now there are two. Not walking, not calling, just waiting in the same patient stillness the land prefers. She understands now what the town truly is. Not a resting place, not a stop along the way, but the threshold between those who pass through and those who become part of the landscape. The desert does not chase. It does not hunt. It simply waits, patient, enduring, unchanging. And for every traveler who believes they are just passing through, the land prepares another place for silence.
Every story is more than just words. It's a door that can only be touched by imagination and the heart. One story, one world. No plane needed. No magic. Just open the page and never say you're just reading. You're moving from one realm to another. Because wherever a story is read with the heart, a new world is always ready to welcome you. One story, one world. See you across the word. Here, from Story Door.